Sri Lankans declared a state of emergency today as massive protests engulfed Colombo after President Gotabaya Rajapaksa flew to the Maldives following months of protests against an economic crisis.
A growing line of people waited to enter the residence, many of whom had traveled from outside Colombo on public transport. Protesters vowed to occupy the official buildings until the top leaders are gone. For days, people have flocked to the presidential palace, almost as if it were a tourist attraction. They were swimming in the pool, marveling at the paintings, and lounging on the beds piled high with pillows. At one point, they also burned the Prime Minister's private home. Meanwhile, other protesters stormed the Sri Lankan Prime Minister's office after the president fled the country only hours before he was to step down amid a devastating economic crisis that has triggered severe shortages of food and fuel. According to an immigration official, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, his wife, and 2 bodyguards left aboard a Sri Lankan Air Force plane bound for the city of Malé, the capital of the Maldives, and he had agreed to resign under pressure. Protesters are also demanding that Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe step down immediately. Prime Minister said he would leave once a new government was in place. In recent days, Sri Lankan protesters have occupied several government buildings, demanding their top leaders step down. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned all acts of violence in Sri Lanka and called for those responsible to be held accountable. In a statement, Guterres also asked for stakeholders to engage in dialogue to ensure a smooth transition of government there and to find sustainable solutions to the economic crisis.
The Secretary General continues to follow developments in Sri Lanka closely. He stands in solidarity with the Sri Lankan people and calls on all stakeholders to engage in dialogue to ensure a smooth transition of government and to find sustainable solutions to the economic crisis. The Secretary General condemns all acts of violence and calls for those responsible to be held accountable, underlining the paramount importance of maintaining the peace. The United Nations stands ready to support Sri Lanka and its people.